So let's take a look at the project just for maybe, maybe we'll go over the project for maybe like 7-8 minutes. I'll let you guys out a couple minutes early. Okay, so here is our project part 5. You're going to use the same thing you used for project part 3. And you're going to copy only the quantitative data, the numerical data only. Do not copy the count and the min and the max, just the data part. And then you're going to paste them. You're going to create a new sheet, and you're going to paste them in there. I would suggest you paste them into, not the first column, I would suggest the second column and the fourth column. That way you can use this one to write your titles in. Right? So here, you're going to find the mean. Oh, sorry, I kind of jumped ahead here. You're going to find the average. Right? The mean is the average. So there's the function for that. It's just the same as all the other stuff, the min and max that we've been doing. It's, equals average, and then you grab your stuff above it. And then you need to find the rounded mean. So you need to round this off to 1 decimal place, whatever you get here. Just type it in. And then you find your median, same sort of thing, equals median, and you grab all the stuff above it. And then you do the same thing with the mode. And you do the same thing with the standard deviation. And then you find and then you round the standard deviation. Then you find the quartiles. Don't split your data up and find it the way you've been doing it, because that's a lot of stuff. Let the computer do it for you, Excel. So if you do equals quartile, your range, and then comma 1, that's going to give you the first quartile. And then you'll do the same thing, only comma 3 to give you yourself the third quartile. Then we're going to talk about, and then you want to put these out. But here's the thing. When you print them out, talks about printing just the selected cells and just select that part. But do you guys see how this formula is cut off? First of all, you need to show formulas, and there's some instructions in there how to do that. But you also can't cut this off, so you need to make your column wider. So you have to kind of toggle on that here. I'll show you kind of how to do that. If I'm here, I might want to make this wider. See where the I and the J are, and how my cursor's going between I and J? Yes? If I go through this slowly, I have that black arrow down. Now all of a sudden I have this little thing that's like the divider with arrows going both directions. I can left-click drag and make this larger. You'll need to do that in order to make it big enough so that this whole formula is visible. Because I can't grade you on it if I can't read it. And you're going to be printing this out. And they also talk about how to show formulas. It's different for each one. But take a look through the instructions and see if that makes sense. And if not, we can kind of work through that. The last thing that the next thing you need to do with this is you need to figure out what you guys quiet, because I would like to get out of here, let you guys out a couple minutes early. Is you need to find, or we can not get out early if you guys don't want to. It's up to you. Okay, so you need to find the IQR. So the IQR, again, is your Q3 minus your Q1, right? Write that in there. And then we need to figure out what 1.5 IQRs are. So you're going to take that number, you're going to multiply by 1.5 to figure out what 1.5 IQRs are. Remember the whole definition of outliers is you take your Q1 and you subtract 1.5 IQRs. That's your lower cutoff. And then you take your Q3 and you add 1.5 IQRs. That's going to be your upper cutoff. And then you got to figure out whether any of those numbers that you have in your data end up falling into that range if they're outliers. If they're less than 1.5, if they're less than this number or greater than that number. And then do that for the other one as well. And then there's just some other basic things. The rest of it, you're only going to work with, so that stuff is both of your numerical data questions. The rest of this is going to be, where it says the rest of part 5 will only work with one variable, the one you used in the printout, the one you found the frequency polygon of. That's your group C data. So you'll write down what the variable is, so I know which one you're talking about. write down the rounded mean and the rounded standard deviation from your Excel worksheet. You just write it in. And then figure out what the data range is within one standard deviation. So your mean minus the standard deviation plus the standard deviation, those are the numbers that go there. 2 standard deviations. Those are the numbers that go there, right? So we write those in. And then physically count how many, so go through and figure out how many lie within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So you have your data in order. You just do count A and you count how many lie from there to there. I can show you really quickly what I mean. Actually, I don't know that I have it. Okay, so say my standard deviation is 64.3 to 68.9. 64.3. So I'd want to count, I'd do equals, count, parentheses, and I want to go from 64.5. So this to 68.5, 68.5. I'd stop right there and enter, and that would count them. That would count them for me. Okay. So those are some of the basic stuff. That should be just enough to kind of get you going at least. We'll go over a little bit more later on, but you're just going to physically count how many lie within 1 standard deviation, how many lie within 2 standard deviations, how many lie within 3 standard deviations. So you can kind of get a sense of whether or not it seems like they might be normally distributed or not.